Morning, I was supposed to hit this button. I was supposed to put some funky music up as we started the show, but I didn't, so we just won't bother now. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and it's that show on the internet. And we can't just say TikTok anymore because now we're on all sorts of different platforms. It's the show on the internet where we answer your traffic and police questions. Now, I have a whole bunch of people who are watching on TikTok. We've got Instagram Live, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere live, all at the same time. If you've got questions, we've got answers. That's what we're here for. How do you ask those questions, you might ask? Well, I'm glad that you asked that, how to ask. Anyway, you can use the Q&A function on the Instagram. I checked again, and no, TikTok, in 3 months, you haven't fixed the problem. We're still unable to use Q&A, but we do have the chat going, and you are able to message there, and hopefully we'll be able to catch it all and make it all work well. If you're having problems, if you're not able to ask us questions, but you really, really want to, you can jump onto any one of the other platforms, including using trafficcop.ca, which takes you to our volley space, and you can ask us questions there. Ryan Pinn, holy moly. Ryan Pinn is in Nova Scotia. He's a driving instructor with Young Drivers of Canada, and he used to be here every day, but apparently his schedule is not cooperating. He says, good morning. Accidentally showed up for 30 minutes early for a lesson, so here I am. Well, we're happy to have you with us. Jacob says hello. He's coming in by YouTube, and he can't wait to see me do the one chip challenge. I'm waiting for my chips to arrive. My friend picked them up, and he's bringing them to me. So I'm going to do a one chip challenge, not today, but soon. Let's see here. Okay. We got good. Oh, Big Jeff Fresh. Good morning. Okay, we got so many good things, and we got the question that's in from Michael. So let's see here. Let me set it all up. And just before we talk about stuff and things, your questions, which are our priority, of course, I want to tell you about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Where are they? And what are they? Well, they're a dedicated team of officers who are out there trying to make the road safer for everybody. They do that by issuing tickets. They patrol in different areas. It's all intelligence-led, so analysts, big brain people, go and look at the numbers, crash data, and from that they extrapolate predictions or at least information that suggests we should be in one place over another. From there, they create a schedule. I've got a whole schedule here, all sorts of different places where they're going to be based on that information. And where do they go? Well, today they're in 23 Division and 42 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Rouge, Scarborough. Why do I tell you the neighborhoods? Because communities policed by or served by our divisions don't really talk about the people. These are real people who have risks because of driver behavior. They have risks because people go into their communities and choose to drive in an unsafe way. What are the kind of behaviors that we're looking for? We're looking for people who are speeding, driving aggressively, distracted, and impaired driving. That's what the Vision Zero Enforcement Team focuses on because we acknowledge that minor collisions are going to happen. It's just fact that it's going to happen. The ones that lead to serious injury and death are entirely preventable. Entirely, and they're unacceptable. So that's the deal. Okay, let's move on to stuff that you want to know about. Before we do, we'll start off with a message from Michael.
Hello, Sean. Good morning. I know you're about to go live any second now, and unfortunately, I cannot join you live because I'm on a trip. And I just had a question. So I'm in Quebec City right now, and I was wondering if I can drive with my G1 in Quebec. And if so, would it be the same guidelines?
Okay, I'll stop it there because the answer is no, you cannot drive with a G1 while you're visiting in Quebec. A G1 is issued for the province of Ontario. It requires you to be supervised by someone with the equivalent of a G license, but it's here, not when you're elsewhere. When you have a G2, however, you are eligible to drive interprovincially and internationally. You can drive in the United States. They accept the G2 as a probationary license, but you must follow all the rules of your G2. G1, you cannot use outside of the province. And Michael, I will respond to you also in video form after the show because he may not be watching us live. Okay, let's get on to other stuff. When towing a trailer, is it the law that you must have your ownership with you? Yeah, you need to have your ownership insurance and registration for the vehicle, and you should have it for your trailer as well. Are suspension lifts that are FMVSS, Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard Act approved legal? I don't know enough about these things that you're talking about now. Suspension lifts, if you're talking about body lifts, I know it's a 3-inch max. I don't know about this FMVSSA. I'll have to phone a friend to find out for you. But it's a good question. And at the end of the day, lifting your vehicle may very well be illegal if it's done unsafely. I've got to mute somebody because someone's being silly. Yeah, I muted them. Cool. Done. They're sending emojis trying to be offensive. And you know what? They're taking away space from people who actually want to communicate for good stuff, as much as it is sometimes amusing. Anyway, Yona, good morning. And regards from Tommy Greenberg. I regards back. I have my friend Yona who pops in via LinkedIn. He's a man of many talents, but one of the things he does is he's a broadcaster with 640 AM. And I've been on his show. He's now been on a podcast with me. And speaking of podcast, we have a podcast, TPS Traffic Jam. You can get it anywhere that podcasts are downloadable. You can get it in video form on YouTube. And actually, you can get it on all of our platforms too, except for Twitter and, except for TikTok and Instagram Live. That's the only place we didn't post it. But everywhere else, check out TPS Traffic Jam. We just posted episode 12, which is, of course, with Yona. And we talk about road rage. What is road rage? What can you do about road rage? You know, important stuff. So let's get back into some stuff and things. Alberta Sheriff Highway Patrol, Nathan says, hi. Hi, Nathan. How you doing? It's always good to hear from my brothers and sisters from other law enforcement agencies. Okay. Can commercial vehicles travel in the carpool lane? Carpool lane, you're talking about the HOV? If they have the appropriate number of passengers, I think they qualify. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, because it's based on the minimum, the passenger quantity or the occupant quantity, not only based on the class of vehicle. Although there are certain vehicles that are allowed to be in there with single occupants, like green plate vehicles, motorcycles, limos, and taxis. They can go. I think it's taxis too. In any case, you got to know before you go. Don't do it because it's misuse of that lane is a ticket, and you don't want it. What do we have? Crystal wants to know, she says, you were talking about the police officers that go to certain cities or towns in Toronto and make sure there's no speeders. Is that just in all of Ontario or just Toronto? So in Toronto, we have the Vision Zero enforcement team, and that is a team of officers that are in an enforcement unit. All they do is respond to intel about where they should be to enforce highway traffic laws to make the roads safer. But every city or town would have their own way of handling traffic enforcement. Now, they aren't the only people writing tickets in Toronto, by the way. We have the motor squad that goes out and does enforcement. We have officers throughout the city who will do something when they see something. But these officers don't get distracted by other calls for service. They are focused on enforcement. So very cool. We have Ryan Pinn asking if I have one headlight out, how loud can my exhaust be in relation to the tint of my front window? Fantastic question. And the answer is, why do you give me these questions? No, thank you for the comedy break. One headlight out is illegal. You got to have two. How loud can my exhaust be in relation to my tint of my front window? Well, you can't have any window tint on your windshield. And I know he wasn't really asking, but I'm answering anyway. And your exhaust can't be loud because that could be unnecessary noise. Awesome. Let's see here. Speak to the rumor of ticket quotas. It's a rumor. It's not a reality. In Toronto and in forces and police services across Canada, I've never heard of anyone who has a quota. It is something that people believe exists, and they do that incorrectly. I understand where it comes from. We measure performance, right? If you go out and do nothing all day, your boss is going to ask you what you were doing. If we go out to work and we went to Timmy's for our 8 or 10 hour shift, we'd have some questions, or at least a supervisor would have some questions for you when you came back. So what happens when you go out for the day? Well, you do work. What happens if some days you get 10 tickets and sometimes you get 20 and sometimes you deal with something because you were flagged down and now you're involved in a criminal investigation? Whatever happens, happens. But you got to do work, whatever that work looks like. And I've never been the recipient of a free toaster, a vacation to Mexico, never as a result of any ticket writing I've ever done. But I like to quote Poncherello, Frank Poncherello from Chips, that 70s and 80s show that was awesome. I loved it. It's probably the reason I'm a police officer today. He once said that he spoke to his sergeant, and his sergeant said he could write as many tickets as he wanted. And that's how I've always operated. My goal was always to stop as many vehicles that were breaking the law as possible and write as many tickets to those violators as I could, because they were breaking the rules and making the road unsafe for others. And it's all about safety, even though people think it's for making money for the man or funding our golf tournaments. No, it's about safety. Okay. Does a seatbelt ticket affect your insurance? A seatbelt ticket isn't specifically a driving violation. It's something you're doing. Wait, actually, no, it's got points. Maybe it is a driving violation. It would be a driving violation. So I would say that, yes, it would affect your insurance. But ultimately, insurance is up to them. They could decide that you're higher risk because you have that ticket. They could say that it doesn't account because it's based on what they choose to do. It is a ticket. It does go on your record. It does carry demerit points. So, yeah, I'm going to say it would. Let's see here. Wrapping exterior of a car, do I need to register it as a new color every time I change it? Yes, you do. You have 6 days after you change the vehicle color to report it to the ministry. Otherwise, not only would you get a ticket if you were stopped, but expect to be stopped on a regular basis, because when we run your license plate, it'll say it was a blue car, but it's a green car. And next week it's a yellow car. And if you're going to do that every week, you got to change it every week, because you will be stopped nonstop because we'll assume it's a stolen car or stolen plates or both. What is this? Is a dash cam worth it in case of a collision? I changed that. They said accident. There are no accidents. That there's somebody at fault every time, and it's a collision that occurs. In any case, yes, I am a big advocate of dash cams. I think that everyone should have one. Why? Because when you're involved in a collision, it will be your fault or not your fault. But without an independent witness proving it either way is going to be difficult. Now, if we do canvas areas, we talk to the drivers, and someone more often than not has one. But wouldn't you like a copy of your own? Wouldn't you like to have that perspective? And mine runs, and I have audio in the car. I hear what I'm saying, which sometimes is not pretty in for all audiences. But I love the fact that it's recording all the time, and I have that protection. No different than a body cam as a police officer, an in-car dash cam for a police officer. It's independent evidence, and it will help you. It will help you. Listen, it could also incriminate you, but more often than not, it helps you, especially if you're a responsible driver. What we got here? After getting a ticket, how can I know which court I need to go to? Generally speaking, it'll tell you on the back of where you can go. If it's a City of Toronto ticket, it's going to be any courthouse in the City of Toronto. Where they book your court date, you'll get notification in the mail. It'll tell you where to go. And every police division is going to send to one of a few courthouses, at least in the time right now. And I assume it's going to be the same in other jurisdictions. Most jurisdictions have one courthouse, mind you. In Toronto, we have a number of them. What is this? Can you use a cell phone while the vehicle is parked running with the keys in the ignition? Here's the deal. If you're driving or stopped at a light or stopped in a no parking zone, you may not use your phone. If you are parked legally in a place that you could get out and leave your car behind, then you're legally parked and you're not interfering with traffic, and then you can use your phone. So if the vehicle is being driven or is supposed to be managed by you, because many argue that a red light is not being driven, it's being stopped. Well, you're still managing that car. You're responsible for what's happening around, paying attention to the red light, whether it changes. And more often than not, we're observing a vehicle that's sitting at a green light because they're so focused on their phone. They're not driving. They're impeding traffic. They're doing all sorts of things. But it's still driving. Okay. Crystal wants to know if there's a telephone number to call to complain about the speeders. I live near a school in my city and really don't see the police out there in our streets. I would call your local police division or detachment. I would talk to a complaints coordinator to advise them of the problem in your community. They may give you directions as to how to file that report officially. Okay. What do we have here? We have lots of fun stuff. Okay, we have emoji. We have some emojis. Double red light. Can you still turn on it? What do you mean double red light? I'm not sure what a double red light is. There's a red light. What's a double red light? Good morning, Leo wife, my wife. And I'm assuming you're with my magical kids. Good morning to all of you. It's always nice that you're joining in to say hello. I'm going to ignore Ancestry's comment, which is, I'm sure, for comedic relief, but we'll skip. If you're on YouTube, you already saw it, but I'm not going there. Alberta Sheriff Highway Patrol wants to know, how do I send you one of our winged wheels? Send me an email. You can certainly reach out to us. Traffic Safety Programs at torontopolice.on.ca is the main email address for the office. Let's see here. What's the weirdest law you have in Canada? I don't know about weirdest laws. We're often asked about this. We have on the books, on the Highway Traffic Act, and I'm assuming we're just talking about traffic laws in particular, There is a law about having appropriate sleigh bells on your sleigh. And I know someone who's had someone plead to that in court, but I've never charged anybody with it. Okay. Can a motorcycle drive in the HOV lane? Yes. Now, there's a difference between HOV on the 400 series and HOV in the City of Toronto. City of Toronto has always had motorcycles depicted on the signs saying they're allowed, solo occupants on them. It wasn't until 2017 that they were allowed to be on 400 series highways. In any case, they are permitted. It used to be two people on the bike to be in there, and now you can be there solo. If you're watching the show, if you're new to the channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. I should probably put my name up on the screen on YouTube too, but I don't, and then I just talk about it like this. I am a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I work at traffic safety programs. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff in general. If you've got questions, we've got answers. Use the Q&A if you've got it here on the screen. If you're on TikTok, use the chat window because TikTok broke. It's been broken since May. Yeah, I went on vacation, I came back, and everything was upside down. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. What else? Jake here wants to know, would snow tires on a car in July constitute an unsafe vehicle? It might constitute, depending on the condition of the tire, an improper tire, because it could be bald or worn. The deal is that winter tires are not meant for warm weather. They take longer to stop. Wet weather even, it's longer to stop. It's not like having racing slicks. People say, oh, it's softer, it's going to be better. No, it's not. It's designed to displace snow. It's just not meant for warm weather. You're going to burn it out really quickly, and it doesn't stop as quickly. So you should have the appropriate tires for the appropriate season if you're going to use them. And know that if you went through a whole season in the summer, chances are they're garbage, and you should replace them. But unsafe vehicle, not necessarily. Ovio Robert says hello. Okay. Thank you for the tip, Robert. Let's see here. We got stuff. Am I allowed to ask the police the reason they pulled me over? Well, generally we walk up and tell you the reason we pulled you over. We don't, it's not a secret. Now we don't walk up and say, do you know I shouldn't say we don't. We don't generally go up and say, do you know why I pulled you over? Because some people are completely oblivious and it's a wasted conversation. I walk up and I say, hi, I pulled you over because you were speeding. Need your license, ownership, and insurance. It's as simple as that. There's no secrets here. I pull you over, I tell you why I'm pulling you over. Now, there may be other things that come about, but the reason I pulled you over is going to be a pretty simple one. Okay, we got a question about tinted windows. Let's talk about tint. In Ontario, this is not a Toronto-specific thing, this is an Ontario thing, you're allowed to have no more than 30% light blockage on the windows directly left and right of the driver. That's 30% light blockage, that means 70% of the light must get through. Windshield, no tint is permitted at all. For the rear windows and the back seat, you can go as dark as you want. You can paint them black, say opaque. They're not regulated. When it comes to the front windshield, people say, well, what about tint strips? You know, that strip across the top of the brow? Yeah, you're allowed on a vehicle that is manufactured before 2017. So a 2016 and older can have a 3-inch or 75 millimeter brow from the top of the window to the PS1 line or whatever happens first. Why is that important? Because you'll get a ticket. You can't have any stickers or decals on the front windshield that obstruct or fall into the path of the windshield wipers. And what else? If you, some people ask about rear windows being obstructed because of the tinted windows. You need to have at least one mirror view to the rear. So that rear view mirror on your windshield, if it's obstructed, that's okay. Think about a cargo truck. It doesn't have a functional mirror. Oddly enough, a lot of the trucks that I've rented over the years, even though they were cargo trucks, they had cubes in the back and you couldn't see through them. They still had the mirror stuck to the windshield. I guess no one figured out that it would do nothing useful anyway. And what else? Oh, I should mention that although that's for safety standards, and if you break that rule, we can take your license plates for unsafe vehicle, there's still in a highway traffic law that says you cannot obscure the interior of your motor vehicle with color or reflective tint. Coating, actually. It says coating, not tint. In any case, what does that mean? It means that we have to be able to see inside your vehicle. So even if you have 30%, if it's dark outside and we can't see inside, we can't observe or describe the driver, we can't see if you're wearing your seatbelt, we can't see if you are drinking, using your phone, et cetera, we can pull you over and we can charge you with that. So yeah, you can have tint, but you can't have tint that obstructs the interior of your vehicle. And reflective is a big deal because a lot of these new fancy tints, they say, well, we can see out just fine, but you can't see in. You can't have privacy. You cannot pick your nose in privacy in Ontario, apparently. And it's for good reason. We need to be able to see. And that's not just for police. It's for members of the public to be able to see. And I know it's not a popular thing. Everybody wants privacy. Okay. We got. What is this? Greetings and salutations from Killer Draconis. Good day, good day. Oh, why can your license be suspended for over 80 but not for impaired driving only under ADLS? Because the law doesn't support that. It requires that device to scientifically determine that you have a certain amount of alcohol. It's not just the officer's opinion that takes away your license in that situation. Okay, I think that's the right answer. We can talk about it later if Sergeant Campbell comes by, but it's my understanding it's the threshold for that 90-day suspension is a device. Okay, can a pickup pull a tag-along camper, which is also pulling a utility trailer with a golf cart? No. Well, it depends. If you're talking about commercial motor vehicles over a certain size and weight, there is a permission to do it. It would be falling under commercial. But for civilian vehicles like an F-150, couldn't do it. And why? It's so dangerous. That's a tricky trailering job. I wouldn't want to do that even if I was allowed to. Okay, we got that. I've personally seen police cars with side tinted windows. Why can you guys have tint and we can't? You can have tint. You just can't have more than the legal limit. There are limits for safety. So yeah, I've just gone into explaining how much tint you can have. You can have up to that much tint, and beyond that you can't. All right, more water needed. Oh, okay. Here's a really good question. Even though tickets are deleted from your record in 3 years, will police always be able to see them? We can see everything forever. So since before you were licensed, if you got a ticket when you were 14 years old because you borrowed mom's car in a parking lot, that's not a good example. Let's say you stole mom's car, took it without consent, you were driving around, and you were convicted of driving no license. That would still be associated with your driver's license number, which is generated and unique to you for your entire driving career. So yeah, I can look at everything from the first interaction with your name as a driver with the MTO. But that's just because you can't. Now, insurance companies can't see that far back, but we can. What is this? Oh, okay. So intersection approach said can't go straight, can't turn left or go right, and no U-turns. What do I do? That's obviously an error. Now, I don't know about the no U-turns business. So if you're referring to King in Portland, for instance, I got some pictures to put up there. We've had that corrected. Somebody reported it. Well, actually, Maury Sherman from is it 92.5, the Roz and Mocha Show? He put up a video on his Damn It Maury TikTok, and we saw that, called 311, bingo bango, it got resolved. They put bags on. I went and actually confirmed because BlogTO put up an article last night saying that it hadn't been fixed or was the most confusing intersection, except it had already been fixed. So I wanted to confirm and get some photographic evidence of exactly what was done there so I could respond to it. And it has been bagged, so you can go straight through in that situation. But what happens? Well, if it's telling you can't do anything, that's not reasonable. You have to be able to get out of it. And no self-respecting officer would give you a ticket in that scenario. So you do what's safe. You do the safest thing you can do in that scenario without, and likely it's going to be back up and make a U-turn when it's safe to do so versus, or you can't turn right where it's a construction zone and it's closed. You can't turn left. Like there's a number of reasons why you can't do those things. You got to do what the best decision is. And if you were really concerned, you can always call and get direction. Let's see here. What if you pass a school bus that has the red stop sign on, but the bus is in the opposite lane? Okay, this is good because we got back to school happening really soon. And what's the answer? Well, if it's a divided highway, divided being that there is a median, if there is a grassy mound or knoll, I don't know, the grassy knoll, is that what it's called? Yeah. Anyway, if there's a divider, then you don't have to stop for the school bus that stopped in the opposing direction, that stopped facing the other way. You cannot pass one, though. If it's an undivided highway, the only division is that of a painted line on the ground, well, that one you cannot pass, and you must stop in both directions. So hopefully that explains things. And guess what? if you make a boo-boo, they're going to be sending you letters because the automated enforcement is coming to school buses. You will, in fact, be ticketed for passing these down. It's always been against the law, but you had to be caught by police. Now it's going to be a wonderful situation of electronic ticketing, and good, because there's far too many violators that don't understand that kids and, well, people in general are worth protecting. And when we put those school bus stop signs out and flashing lights, they're for a reason. They're expected to be complied with to protect those kids and anybody who's on that. What is this? Ryan says 42 pages per minute. Is that what? Or Kayla? Oh, what are we talking about? Kayla and Ryan just having conversations on their own, which is good because they're both regular, participants in the whole Ask a Traffic Cop thing. Regular viewers. What do we got here? Around a school zone, 30 kilometers is still 30 during school holidays, but it has a plate. Okay, school zones and posted speed limits are posted speed limits all the time unless it says differently on the sign. So if the sign says during school hours between these months, then it's a conditional sign. If it doesn't have a condition posted, it is that speed limit 24/7. And the people in the community are expecting you to go that speed. It's unsafe to do otherwise, and we will enforce it 24/7. Do you have to give ID as a passenger? Sometimes. If you're being investigated for a Highway Traffic Act offense as a passenger, yes. If you're being investigated for another offense, whether it be cannabis or alcohol or criminal, there will be situations where you'd have to give ID. If we're just stopping the driver for speeding, no, we don't have the authority or a reason to ID you as a passenger. But if you're not wearing your seatbelt, I'm investigating you for the seatbelt, and then I could ask you for ID. So the answer is depends. What we got here? Ryan Pin says, I loved my dash cam, but the road test examiners made me take it out during tests, so I just left. Really? Why? That sounds odd. But you got to do what you got to do, I guess. I've seen people who are taping their road tests and putting them up on YouTube, which I don't agree with, but it's not against the law. It's just against their policies. Maybe you need to have a smaller dash cam. Just saying. But for your protection, I think, in fact, if your vehicle was a Tesla, it's built into the vehicle. Like there's no taking it out. It's there all the time. Maybe you need a Tesla. I think Ryan, you need a GoFundMe for a Tesla. I did not want to do that. My apologies if you heard my phone ringing. That was terrible. Let me turn that so it's not on air. And that way it will not happen again. Okay. Somebody was calling me. And I have everything all computery stuffed. How do I turn that off? I don't want that to happen again. All right. What do we got here? Okay. I got pulled over with my G2 license after I had a beer and got breathalyzed. Nothing happened. Why? Maybe you had your blood alcohol content was 0. Otherwise, if it was anything, you should have had a suspension for violating the condition. So if you truly had absorbed and dealt with your beer because it was long enough before driving that you had a 0 BAC, then you wouldn't have had anything. Or maybe they were being nice to you when they shouldn't have been. But that should have been a suspension. This is one of my favorite questions. How fast over the speed limit can you legally go before you are stopped by highway patrol? The deal is that you're not allowed to speed at all. So at any speed over the posted speed limit, you're eligible for a vehicle stop and a charge. Do officers focus on 3 to 5 kilometers over? No, probably not. Maybe, could be. Depends on the officer. But generally speaking, 3 to 5 kilometers an hour is probably going to be that negligible zone where in a 100 kilometer an hour zone, you wouldn't have a problem. If 3 to 5 kilometers an hour in a 30 zone, you may find yourself being pulled over more frequently. At the end of the day, we want you to do the speed limit or less, not anything over. But some people don't like to go the speed limit. And I don't understand why, because what makes where they're going so important that putting lives at risk is, worthy. When police and fire and ambulance speed and use their lights and sirens, it's because somebody needs help and it's a priority. And everyone has to pull over and stop because at that moment we're more important. Not we, but the person we're going to go help. But for the folks who are just speeding because they didn't leave on time, they didn't plan their day, they forgot, they have to pee, whatever the story is, there's always a story. Those people don't deserve to speed. They do deserve, however, to get tickets and lose their licenses and pay lots and lots and lots of insurance because they are high-risk people. But I'm going to jump off my soapbox now. I don't know if you noticed, I have a problem with people who speed. Okay. What is this? Okay, dash cams have saved me in 2 of my collisions. Would or being my fault without proof? Yes, that's the whole point of that whole independent witness of having a dash cam. If you don't have that independent witness, and which is someone who decides to stick around and be that good Samaritan and say, no, I saw that this guy was that and that one was that, like to paint a picture, then it's the he said, she said, they said situation where the officer has to go by physical evidence and what they believe happened based on the independent, not the independent, but the driver's statements and the physical evidence together, and they make their best deconstructions. Now, obviously, serious collisions, we go to great lengths to get as many details as possible. But dash cams do a great deal really do help people to ensure that they don't get wrongfully charged. We're just talking about dash cams and how valuable they can be.
No, the evidence that dash cams provide is fantastic. We as police officers, when we're investigating, that's all we do. We are evidence gatherers to try and make a determination. So if you have additional evidence, I would highly, strongly, absolutely recommend having one in your car.
Oh, yeah. And I even, like front camera, somebody once told me, don't get a dual camera. Don't get a front and back because that's just overkill. It takes up more memory. It's more work. But you know what? A friend of mine was rear-ended, and it captured that driver was on their cell phone when they rear-ended them. So not only were they at fault, but they were able to lay charges for other things.
And absolutely your insurance would love to know that information as well because they work on a percentage of blame as opposed to us that we look at an offense.
Yes.
So great evidence. It happened to me. Somebody backed into me. It worked great for my insurance company.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't, like when people say that, well, it wasn't my fault and it was somebody who did some wild and crazy thing in front of me, it's that the difference between having a plausible, believable story that someone's going to take seriously or not, because people tend to misrepresent what actually happened to benefit themselves. Just sometimes, maybe a lot.
I've heard people might, do that.
Lie to police on
Lie to
occasion?
police, yeah.
Yeah, it happens. For the people who are listening to the voice that is not on camera, wondering, who's he talking to? That is Sergeant Murray Campbell. He is a media relations officer and the towing impound and a whole bunch of other things sergeant here at Traffic Services, who joins us on a regular basis right here on Ask a Traffic Cop. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sean.
We were talking about lunch, but before we were talking about lunch, we were talking about mufflers. The video that I posted just before we went live was discussing can a turbo replace your muffler, because somebody's mechanic told them that it could. That was actually a very interesting conversation because I am not a mechanic, but you are very mechanical.
Well, thank you. I don't know if that's good or bad.
You're more automotively technical than I am. My skills and ability tend to fall on the computer side of things, and you do more car stuff than I do.
Yeah. You know what? If your car's manufactured with a muffler, you have to have a muffler on there, and it has to be an acceptable muffler. There are an awful lot of mufflers out there that don't actually perform as they should, and are louder. You need one that is compliant.
Yeah, it's funny. I really don't understand the desire to take mufflers off and have obnoxiously loud vehicles. I just personally don't get it. I won't ride behind a Harley Davidson, especially a modified Harley Davidson, but I don't want to be behind a Harley at all. It's an obnoxious sound, especially on a long motorcycle ride. I like Hondas. I will ride behind a Honda any day of the week.
You know what? It only upsets everybody else around you, and serves no purpose. You know, your car's manufactured. They spend billions of dollars trying to engineer cars to work most efficiently, most powerfully, and with the longest longevity. Why would you want to change that? Are you smarter than an engineer?
Many people believe so.
Yeah, I you know what? I don't. And you know what? Sometimes when you're making modifications, like changing the back pressure in your exhaust from factory, you know what? You end up with the potential of engine damage. You know what? The back pressure is there to assist in taking the spent gases out. And if you don't have the proper back pressure, you could end up, heating up valves and losing valve seats and things like that.
There's lots of stuff to think about that's beyond to just make it sound cool.
It's kind of funny. I see cars with improper exhaust on them, the big, loud, wide pipes, and every single one of them seems to be burning a little bit of oil as well, and that's because they've done damage to their engine.
Which costs money,
Yeah,
ultimately.
and lowers your power, lowers the performance, lowers your efficiency.
Not a good
I don't
thing.
know. Seems to be a negative.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a winner here.
Yeah.
Crystal says, hello, Sergeant. I hope you're having a great day. And Jake here says, asked yesterday, and obviously we got a whole, we get so many questions, and we didn't get time to get to all of them, but do commercial vehicles add wraps? Do they have to do color changes on the ownership? And I think the biggest differentiation is the vehicle itself is generally the cab, and the back is the cargo container. I don't know if that's considered for vehicle color on the ownership. I think it's just the cab. In any case, if it's multicolor, because it has multicolor, it may just continuously be multicolor.
Yeah, there is a classification for multicolored vehicles. Commercial vehicles can fall into a whole bunch. It doesn't have to be cab and cargo area. Vans, trucks, pickup trucks, cars can be commercial vehicles. Bell Canada runs minivans that are commercial vehicles. And yeah, if you substantially change the color of it, it has to be registered.
So regardless of the type of vehicle, because I again made the assumption that like if it's a white cab and you put a purple rear box on it, then maybe it's not but it makes sense that would still be multicolor.
You know what? There's a company that works in Toronto, a taxi. Their taxis are orange and green. They're all registered as multicolored.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And the whole idea is that we see the vehicle, we can describe the vehicle when someone calls. If we run it, everything should match. It shouldn't be a mystery. But if they're consistently changing the color of the wrap, it's still multicolor, as long as it's makes sense. If it's multiple color, if it's only one color, it's one color. Right. Anyway, we're going to get off this color thing. Ryan Pinn has a rhyme he'd like to share with us. And as much as I'd love to hear him say it by using volley, we'll just read it for him.
Maybe Ryan can send it in through volley.
He should, but maybe for next time. But he says a rhyme he likes to use when at a light is left, center, right. Check the mirror, check the light. There's no time to check your phone. Does that rhyme? I don't know if that it sort of rhymes.
You know what though? It works.
It does work. It makes a whole lot of sense. And just because we were talking about weird laws, and I did mention sleigh bells earlier, a weird law that exists in Nova Scotia is that you're not allowed to race your horse on a highway. It's good to know.
Ooh, you know what? In Ontario, you are not allowed to race animals in your vehicle.
In your vehicle?
I believe so.
Actually,
there is a.
You can't scare horses. That's scaring animals or horses. Did you guys fix that sign issue in Toronto? While you look that up, I'll talk about this. Yes. So the sign issue was something on King Street, King in Portland. There was an intersection that had a no left and no straight through sign, which is always the case at that intersection. And construction is taking place, so they added a no right turn sign, which effectively closed the intersection. And oddly enough, for 2 weeks, nobody said anything except on Reddit. And I didn't see it on Reddit because I don't go on Reddit. But apparently, a lot of people were upset about it for 2 weeks, and no one thought to call 311. So when I became aware of it, I called 311. Guess what? They immediately went out and resolved the issue. And people said, well, how come the police didn't do something sooner? Well, the police have to be aware of it in order for them to do something about it. Simple as that. When we're aware of something, we take action. But if any member of the public or police or security or anyone, because public and it's anyone, you could have called 311 and said, hey, I'm at this intersection, something's not right here, could you send someone? And they would. That's what they do. It's an amazing service. I actually reached out to them. I want to get them to come onto our podcast and talk about all the great work they do, because they do some great work. And so many people in the comments said they had no idea what 311 is. Do you know what 311 is? I grew up knowing 311, but maybe I'm old. Did you know what 311?
I know 311.
Yes, I know 411 too. 411 is something that I don't think anybody uses anymore. I used to pay like 50 or 60 cents every time I called 411.
Yep.
Do you know what 411 is?
411 was to find out somebody's telephone number.
Yeah. Instead of we were too lazy to use a telephone book, so we call 411 and you speak to real live person who looked up the telephone book for you, and you paid like 50 cents or whatever it was per lookup. And it was awesome. And who would ever do that now? I mean, I bet you people know what 411 is because I think there's telephone directory websites that say 411.
Yep.
Oh, and Jenny says, don't forget about 211. Do you know about 211?
I do not.
I did not know. My wife told me about 211. The magical Leo wife told me about 211 only yesterday. And it's about social services, if I'm not mistakenly misrepresenting it, that if you're looking for how to do things, and I got to look it up so I don't give you the wrong information. What is 211? Let's see here. Okay. 211 is a helpline that easily connects people to the social services programs and community support they need. I remembered what you see. I listen to you, honey. I do. I listen to my wife. Oh, really? Someone said 811 is for a nurse. Is that poison control or general? Is that Telehealth Ontario 811? Well, I got to do. I'm learning stuff. 811. Hot Healthline. Do you need to speak to someone about a loved one with dementia? There are over 811 reasons to call and speak to a registered nurse 24 hours a day. I did not know that. Thank you. You're awesome. Are there any other 11s that I need to know about while we're here, while we're on the topic? I'm learning stuff.
I heard that it was a 911 that connected you to something.
Yeah, that's yeah. I knew that one. All right.
So, Sean, before you go on to the next question,
yes,
I'm going to read something to you.
Please do.
That was about our previous suggestion about racing animals on the roadway. So, no person shall race or drive furiously any horse or other animal on a highway.
That is good to know.
That is an offense.
Furious animals are.
No, to drive them furiously.
Oh, okay.
So you cannot race a animal on a highway.
I will avoid that, doing that because I don't. What is the fine for it?
It is $110.
Okay, this is good to know. What is the? Where would this happen? Like I don't know. This must be a horse and buggy situation.
It could be, yeah.
Because otherwise, even with horse without buggy, even. But I'm not going to drag race out. I wonder how a Tesla versus horse would go.
There's only 1 horsepower.
Yes. Can any vehicle just pass in the carpool lane during forbidden hours? So the carpool lane is not first of all, it's not a carpool lane. It's a HOV lane, high occupancy. I guess it's a carpool lane. It's not a passing lane. You're not to use it to pass other vehicles. You have to qualify to even be in the lane, regardless of time or date.
You know what? The benefit for the high occupancy vehicle lane is when traffic in the regular lanes has slowed down.
Yeah.
And it allows you to have a path that is a little more open, allowing you to travel at slightly higher speed. It is for the purpose of passing slow traffic, but you also have to do it properly.
And speed differential is something we often talk about in policing, and it's something that many people don't understand. If it was stop traffic, everybody in the right lanes is absolutely in a traffic jam. How fast would you go on the HOV? Well, it's empty, let's say. You're the only car there. So do you do the speed limit? That would be a bad idea. The speed differential will be quite high. And you, in the event of something changing, like someone who decided to get into the lane in front of you, you have no way of stopping safely if you were doing highway speeds. The speed differential that we are looking at, it shouldn't be more than 40 kilometers an hour, I would think.
40 kilometers an hour on a highway, absolutely. You know what? We use speed differential all the time, so do all other emergency services, in being able to travel faster than the flow of traffic, but also getting there safely. It's a calculated risk that we use when we're responding to emergencies.
Because it's guaranteed arrival. It's about getting there so we can do what we need to do. We need to get there quickly, but we have to get there. And if we do things that are unsafe and could cause a collision, it would prevent us from being any use to anybody who's waiting for us on the other side.
In fact, we could cause more of a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want more emergency units being dispatched to help us when we were once upon a time going to leave to help someone else. Anyway, here's a question. Are traffic laws based on city or province? Well, kind of both. Highway Traffic Act is province-wide, but there are bylaws that address traffic issues, and they're city and municipal based. So both.
You know what? We have federal laws as well that regulate operations of vehicles on the roadways.
For sure.
And on private property.
Yes.
So federal, provincial, and municipal.
All of the above. Let's see here. Can someone who lives with me in the same household drive my car with a G2 license without being on the insurance policy? Will I get a ticket for that? Lulu, the answer is you won't get a ticket for it, but you may have a problem when it comes to getting your insurance coverage on your vehicle. You loan the vehicle to them, they're properly licensed. Yes, they can operate that motor vehicle from the perspective of police. However, your insurance company will generally not just frown on it, they may simply deny claims related to it. So if you crash your vehicle, they crash your vehicle, it may not be covered because you violated their policy, which generally states that they have to be on the policy, which is not a big amount of money. And a G2 driver that has on your insurance policy will actually develop a history of insurance and will help them get lower rates when they get their own policy. But it's a good question. It's a question we do deal with on a regular basis.
You know what, Sean? Not being full and frank to your insurance company can lead to a cancellation of your policy or extremely high rates. What if that person operating the vehicle happens to get a ticket, not even into a collision, but gets a ticket and is related to that vehicle? Your insurance company may find that out and then cancel you because you have not been truthful and forthright.
Bad things can happen. Let's say you're loaning, forget about the G2 driver that you know is a G2 driver. What about loaning vehicles to your friends? There may be policies that say you can't loan a vehicle to someone under the age of 25, and that's good to know. But additionally, there are people who say they're licensed and they're not. People sometimes are dishonest. If you go to our link tree, which is in our bio, but it's just Linktree Traffic Services, you can actually click to two links. One, if you want to check that the driver is actually status licensed, you take their, I think it's date of birth and their license number, which they provide to you. And I would make that a condition of loaning it to anybody, your vehicle to anybody. It'll tell you if it's status licensed. There's another one there. If you're buying a motor vehicle, there's a way to check to find out if the vehicle you're buying is stolen. So somebody was asking about how do I get a car home if I'm buying it privately? First, make sure you're buying a car that isn't stolen. Using that website is a good way to go. So again, it's Linktree Traffic Services. Oh, a bunch of stuff has been coming in through the magical Volley app. Let's see what's going on here. We have transcription not available. Mostly because it was a very... Did it not load? No, there was no audio there. Okay.
It said hello, Sean, but that's
Did you just say hello, Sean?
Yep.
I don't hear it. That was the previous one. So Rafi said something, but it didn't come through. What happens if I get caught driving on residential streets with a parent at 15? You're unlicensed, and as a result, you'd be charged for driving without a license. $300 some odd for that charge. You'd be charged. They'd be charged for letting someone who's unlicensed operate the motor vehicle. So you both get charged.
No insurance?
You're not covered under the vehicle is insured, but the driver isn't. I think that would be. I don't know if we could charge them for just no insurance straight. Could you think we would? I think because he's not the owner, so they wouldn't get it. But it would definitely for letting an unlicensed driver drive. And if it resulted in collision, I would say that they would deny the claim, for sure.
You know what? There is situations where an unlicensed driver can get some experience. Cannot be on the roadway. Absolutely not.
Here is a question now. Okay, Rafi's got. I think he got replaced now. Let's see. Oh, it's okay. It was not an audio. It is a. Rafi's question is, my car switched ownership from my father to me. He paid for hit stick until August of 2022. Now that the vehicle is under my name, my birthday is May 2023. This seems to be a gray period where I can't renew my sticker. Service Ontario told me that to just drive it and come back in May to renew. Is this true? So when you changed the ownership, when you changed it into your name, they printed an expiry date on that ownership document. Likely it's your birthday. So have a look at the green document that they issued you as the new ownership permit, and it'll say when it expires right on the face, and it's probably your birthday. But it shouldn't be a gray zone. It should be very black and white, right in print. Check it out. Let me know. And another question is, no, we got that one. Okay, so we skipped. We got it. We're up to date. What happens? Yeah, we got it. We're done. Okay. It was asked twice. Let's get back to stuff and things happening here on TikTok and other places. By the way, if you're coming in late and you don't know who we are, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go onto social media on a pretty regular basis answering traffic and police questions. If you got questions, ask them. You can always go and join us on Volley, which is where those questions were hiding. That is accessible by going to trafficcop.ca. It forwards you to our Volley space. It's a great app, easy way to get a hold of us. And you can send us video, voice, or text messages, even attachments and pictures and cool stuff like that. If you are on Instagram, use the Q&A function. If you are on TikTok, use the chat because, well, they broke Q&A 3 months ago or more now. Is it more now? You can also be watching this on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So wherever you are, we'd love to hear from you. That being said, we would love to hear from you for another 9 minutes because at 11 o'clock we're off the air for another day. We will, however, be back tomorrow at a special time. We will be back at 11 o'clock because we got stuff and things in the office that are taking up our 10 o'clock spot. So we have to move you. So 11 o'clock tomorrow. I thought about doing 12, but I think 12 might be too late.
You know what? You could do 12.
You want to do 12?
You know what? You could do 12, and
We've never done 12.
we could see if there's other people around that actually want to join us.
We're going to do 12. We're going to do something wild and crazy. We're going 2 hours late.
You're a wild and
I'm a wild man. Yeah. I don't get it. I'm not that wild. Okay. Jeremy has questions. Many questions. Dash cams have saved me twice, he says. Even use a GoPro while riding a motorcycle. I agree with using a GoPro while riding a motorcycle. However, I would only use it mounted to my person, my body, or my bike, not my helmet. Reason being is you make your helmet an improper helmet. It's actually against the law to mount a GoPro to your helmet. You can't mess with the safety equipment, specifically your helmet. You can't change the hard and smooth surface by adhering things, sticking to it, mounting it to the actual helmet. And it's been supported in case law, and I said this, and some retired officer from elsewhere in Canada yelled and screamed and wrote a letter to the chief, and at the end of the day, I showed him the case law, and yeah, he got quiet. I don't want you to get a ticket. I do want you to be safe, though. And even better than simply putting a dash cam on your vehicle, there's not dash cam, sorry, GoPro for motorcycles. There's 360 cameras that are really cool to give you 360, or there are dash cams for motorcycles that mount multiple cameras permanently that are weatherproof or resistant, that power from your bike, so you don't have to worry about charging batteries all the time. So things to think about. Jeremy says a turbo, I think you mean turbo, is connected to the headers and then the exhaust. So technically you could, but don't think it would benefit anything, and it could actually cause damage to your engine over time. I don't know what you're answering. I don't know what he's answering.
Probably
the exhaust
turbo
question
instead of a muffler.
Gotcha.
So
he's supporting that as okay.
put a turbo on, sure, you can.
You can put it on, but you can't take off the muffler.
Yeah.
Oh, Rafi has a follow-up question. Okay. So Rafi says, so that paper you mentioned has the correct expiry, but the sticker still shows August 2022. Is there something I'm going to keep? Okay. If you're in Ontario, stickers are no longer required. Peel off the sticker and you're good to go. Stickers, yeah, we don't do stickers anymore. So the validation date on your ownership is the ownership. That's it. The sticker, take it off. Don't worry about it. Sticker means nothing. You won't be getting a new sticker because we don't issue stickers anymore. Oh, what is this? Interesting. Is it illegal to teach someone to drive with no license? Sorry, someone with no license to drive in a parking lot. Okay. I can't write you a ticket for driving without a license on private property. The charge does not extend to private property. Is it a good idea? I wouldn't suggest it. I would say go get your learner's permit, and then you're covered. Because if that person that you're teaching to drive who is unlicensed gets into a collision, damages your vehicle, you have no insurance for that. Additionally, if they were stunt driving on private property, they would be charged for driving stunt driving. They're still eligible. But teaching from friend to friend, I couldn't charge you for it, but I wouldn't suggest it. Would you add anything to that?
You know what? There is a risk if you're doing it in a parking lot, especially if there's other people, cars, vehicles, poles around. There are places you can go to do it. I growing up, I worked on a farm. I drove farm vehicles in fields for work purposes, and I learned how to operate vehicles that way. Yeah, it can be done. It can be taught. It can be. You have to do it right and measure your risks.
And it's so simple to get a learner's permit. Just get a learner's permit and wait until the appropriate age. I mean, I know that when I was a kid at 15, I know that I went in a parking lot and learned with my friend. Did it give me any benefit? It was cool. It didn't really give me any benefit, and I still went and got my learner's permit. Actually, I did my in-school class at young drivers as a cyclist. I rode my bike to the classroom. I took because I was so anxious. So I completed my in-class studies prior to getting my learner's permit, which I got the day I turned 16. And I was driving. 30 days later, I had my full G.
You know what? Similar question. Back then, there was driver's ed was in school.
Oh, yeah. I never had that.
It was a school-sponsored thing. We went to driver's ed. I turned 16 on a Friday. Got my 365. Got my 90-day motorcycle license. I had my full motorcycle license at the end of that weekend because I went and took a motorcycle rider safety course that gave you your M class at the end of it.
No kidding. I had to wait a little longer. I probably waited a week.
That was long before the graduated license.
I did not take a course before getting my license. I just got my M and then later took a advanced rider course. But I do suggest anyone wanting to ride a motorcycle, best thing in the world, although I was in a collision, I still think it's the best thing in the world. I definitely suggest becoming a skilled rider through education and training. Nothing will teach you. You won't learn on your own what some of the things they will teach you. Just without someone showing you certain things that they don't make sense, they don't click unless you get it shown.
You know what, Sean? I grew up riding from the age of 8, riding bikes all the time, and I knew an awful lot, but I did learn on that course.
Even if it's a little thing that could save your life.
Push, steering.
I'm looking past a monitor. This is why I keep leaning this way. And everyone's like, wow, why you half your nose is on the... Anyway. Just going back to our 411, 211, 311 question. Big Jeff Fresh says, 411's directory. He says he's old enough. Kayla Dracona says, 511 for road info. I knew that. I've never used it.
I've never used it either.
And I believe that's to get road info, I guess, to find out about traffic and issues.
And weather-related issues on roads.
They do have a Twitter account, and I know them because of Twitter, but I've never physically dialed the number. 611 for maintenance. Maintenance of what?
Road maintenance.
Road maintenance? Because someone was asking me about street signs. Is 611 where you call for street signs? An easy number that connects you immediately to the customer service department of a wireless telephone company. It's a wireless telephone company maintenance. Is 611 a thing? Hey, we were just transmitting your conversation to the world. Okay, so 211, yes. Okay. Conky says, as we move to more electric vehicles, do you think there will be more pedestrian collisions because the cars are so quiet? Interesting. You know what? A number of manufacturers have experimented with sounds through speakers, and some sports cars have actually tried to make their vehicles sound, the electric sport cars, like gas-powered cars.
You know what, Sean? I have a hybrid vehicle in the household, and it does. It has a speaker in the front that makes it sound. When it backs up, that sound is even louder, and it actually sounds like, I don't know, angels from heaven coming down. That's exactly what it sounds like.
You know what? I love the quiet of those electric vehicles. I think it's cool. I think it's eerie. I expect noise. Not obnoxious noise, but noise. I expect to hear something. Even quiet gas cars freak me out. But in any case, it's cool.
Loud gas cars freak me out.
Well, the ones that are it's like the pop can, ridiculous, obnoxious one. Yes. We got here. Kevin Pierce wants to know: can I tow my friend's car with my truck with chains to the garage?
What?
He wants to just hook up some chains and tow his friend.
Chains? His car is chained to the garage?
No, he wants to tow his friend's car with his truck to the garage.
No, must be a solid connection.
Solid. So tow straps?
No, solid connection.
Oh, a T-bar, like a proper towing apparatus.
Tow bar, you can do it as long as there's two means of attachment for it as well. So you have to have a safety chain and a tow bar.
The tow strap concept, I think, is for getting out of the mud, not for driving down the road.
Yeah, emergency, pull you out of the ditch.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, the road.
We got Rafi with a follow-up question. Sorry. He feels bad. Don't feel bad. Since we're going to 12, I might as well ask away. We're not going to 12 today. We're going to go start at 12 tomorrow, but we'll let you go with it because we are over time. It's 11 o'clock. We're gonna end the show with this question. how do police station division numbers work? Does it go from lowest number within the city and increase all you move outside of the city? For example, how do people know where division XX is right at the top of their head? So I don't know how it was numbered originally. There's probably a good story about it, but do you have an answer for this? Because I'm going to.
So I can only answer in the city of Toronto. I don't understand other police services how they number their divisions. Peel and Durham confuse me. In Toronto, we're divided into 5 districts. Each district kind of has similarly type of crimes and a need for service in it. So we have one district, which is a downtown west side kind of district, and we have 11, 12, 13, and 14 division within the district. We used to have 2 district is Etobicoke, and that's in the west side of our city, and we used to have a 21 division, but it amalgamated with 22 divisions, so we just have a 22 and a 23. 3 district is the north end of the city, usually North York, 31, 32, 33. 4 district is Scarborough, 41, 42, and 43. We didn't have a 43 for a long time, but we had it. It went away.
Came back.
And it came back because of population, volume, and calls for service out there.
A lot of things changed when we amalgamated, because we were originally like North York Police and Etobicoke Police, and those were then amalgamated to the Metropolitan Toronto Police. And then when Mega City happened, we went into the Toronto Police Service. So it wasn't always, and I imagine many of these things were individual jurisdictions at one point.
Definitely were. So, we just needed a way to divide it up to put divisions together with similar type crimes and calls for service. That doesn't preclude other calls for service coming in, but and it's a way to operate a command structure.
And additionally, we have units like Traffic Services, our unit, which is citywide. We go everywhere.
But it never used to be.
Right, because every division used to have its own traffic officers.
And then before that, we used to go by district. So there used to be a 3-district traffic unit and a 4-district traffic unit. So what is old is new again, and we change things to try and suit the times and make it most efficient.
And then we change it again.
Yeah, somebody else will come up with a new idea, improve it, and we'll change it again.
But we're always trying to improve. That's the big thing. I said it was the last question, but there's another question. Can you use your phone at a red light? And the hard no on that. You're not allowed to use your cell phone while you're anything but legally parked. You can't, unless, of course, you're calling 911. If you're calling police, fire, and ambulance, you can use your phone at any time, but that's the only time, is the any time when you're calling 911.
So 2 things, Sean. First of all, you stole my line there with a hard no.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I'd like to echo my hard no on that. The only way you can use your vehicle or your phone while in your vehicle, like you said, is if you're calling emergency services, or you are actually parked off the roadway, so you can't stop in the middle of the road.
Legally parked, not in park.
Yeah. So, and put it in park. So you have to legally park, make your vehicle inoperable. So take it out of gear, and then you can use it.
I like it. If you're watching this show and you're like, how do I do this again? Come back to visit us tomorrow. That's when we'll be back to do this all over again for the last episode of the week, because I'm not going to be here on Friday. I hope to have an edited version of TPS Traffic Jam with my buddy Brian Max. He filmed it with me a while ago and has been on the to-do list. And today's the to-do-ing of the list of to-dos. In any case, we'll be back tomorrow. Come join us. You can follow us everywhere, but of course follow us on TikTok at Traffic Services, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And anyway, you know where we are. Have a great day. Stay safe. Have fun. Any other to-dos?
You know what? One of these days, Sean, I'm going to, when you're not here, I'm going to sit in your seat and
do it. You should. Absolutely. And until then, have a great day. Drive sober. Don't park anywhere you're not supposed to. I'm trying to cover everybody who sits around here. Don't get towed unless you know we have to have a set of goodbye taglines.
You know what? If you're getting towed, you've done something wrong anyway.
It's very possible. Yeah. All right. Be well. And oh, by the way, it's song time. Are we going to sing along?
I was tempted to. I love this song.
Yeah, me too.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk
that no one likes.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving.
Don't speed.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and
Not get freed.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
Tracy says, belt it out, Sarge. Have a great one, everybody.
10,
Bye, everyone.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,